This is the second generation Pixel Watch, and this is the first smartwatch that I've ever owned. After using it for a couple of weeks, I can say that I really like it. But do I prefer it over my mechanical watches? Let's find out. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel, I talk about and review traditional watches, most of which run with the help of springs and gears. While I've reviewed many mechanical watches, I've never owned or even used a smartwatch before. In fact, I used to be strongly against smartwatches, so this watch is a good shake-up from my usual routine. Before we begin the review, let me clarify that though I'm new to smartwatches, I'm not new to technology. I'm a cybersecurity engineer by trade, and I love technology. I'm just old-fashioned when it comes to watches. Now that we have that out of the way, let's move on to the watch. In this video, I'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly about the Pixel Watch, and finally answer whether this watch could replace my mechanical watches. So to begin with the specs, this new Pixel Watch has a very round, bezel and lugless case measuring 41mm in diameter and 12.3mm thick. Without having protruding lugs, this watch wears great on my 6-inch wrist. Being made of aluminium and having a rubber band, this watch is also super light, weighing only 31 grams. For comparison, this 36mm Rolex Datejust weighs around 120 grams. That's 4 times as heavy. Lastly, this watch retails for $350 for the Wi-Fi only model and $399 for the LTE version. Now I've worn this watch for a while and I like many of the features it offers. Firstly, the lugless design. Generally 41mm watches look too big on my wrist because the lugs stick out. Having no lugs here make this 41mm watch wear very well on my wrist. Also being so light, this watch feels super comfortable. Now the included rubber strap is fine. It's fairly comfortable, but not the most luxurious looking or feeling strap out there. You could easily swap that out if you really wanted to, but I'm fine with mine. I own a Pixel phone, so there's no surprise that the Pixel Watch seamlessly pairs with the phone via Bluetooth. I think the watch should work well with all phones without issues. The phone app can be used to change the tiles, app selection, and make other customizations on the watch. Switching the watch faces is quick and smooth and gives the watch a new look. I'm not going to talk about all the features the watch offers, but mention some of my favorite. One of them being the heart rate tracking. Combined with other sensors like the gyroscope and GPS, the watch can be used to track your walks, runs, or workouts. I can't lie, this is probably the most useful feature that no mechanical watch can offer. Do I think it's necessary? I don't think so. I've lived all these years without it and I've been just fine. But the watch can also track irregular heart rhythm, which can be especially useful for older people or people with heart conditions, so that's a big plus. Another useful feature is sleep tracking. You only have to wear the watch when you go to bed and it will do the rest. So I can wake up each morning knowing how terribly I slept. Fun. There are many small added conveniences as well, such as seeing the weather at a glance, daily step count, setting alarms and timers, and contactless payment. However, these are minor conveniences that I can again live without. Now the accuracy of this watch is unmatched, and no mechanical watch can ever be this accurate. Coming to the battery situation, this watch can be charged wirelessly by using this little puck. The magnets on here are quite strong and the watch snaps on with a satisfying click. Fortunately, the battery charges pretty quickly. I noticed that it goes from 0 to 100 in roughly 1 hour. But the battery is also the first downside. Many of my mechanical watches have power reserves that last 40, 50, and even 80 plus hours. This means that I don't need to wind them for over 3 days. And some automatic watches never need to be wound if you wear them daily. That's huge. And because I'm so used to these watches, I was really irked by the barely 24-hour battery life on this watch. Even moderate use drains the battery heavily, and I always ended the day with less than 20% battery left. Moreover, winding a stopped mechanical watch only takes a few seconds and is also somewhat of a bonding experience. You miss out on that with an electrically charged smartwatch. The second negative for me was the water resistance, or the lack thereof. Don't get me wrong, this watch is water resistant, but only to 50 meters, which translates to only splash resistant. This was surprising because many of my mechanical watches are water resistant to 100 meters or more. Some mechanical watches are good enough to take to the bottom of the ocean. I understand there are electronics involved in a smartwatch which make it harder to protect it from water. But it would have been nice to see at least 100 meters of water resistance here, similar to the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, coming to the ugly. Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot, but there were a few bugs that I faced that annoyed me. Like when the heart rate sensor on the watch suddenly showed no pulse. For a second, I thought I was dead. But then, fortunately or unfortunately, I realized I was alive and well. In fact, this problem persisted for a couple of days and was finally resolved only when I restarted the watch. Another annoyance was the constant buzzing on my wrist. I get enough notifications on my phone already, and I don't want the same on my watch as well. While this may be a benefit to some, I'm too old for that all 28 years of me. So, what's the conclusion? In my opinion, the Pixel Watch and smartwatches in general are good functional devices. The health tracking features were the most useful for me. And while it's certainly nice to have another smart device on your body, it does get annoying and overwhelming at times. In a world where we are already surrounded by gadgets, I just don't want another one on my wrist. I like technology, but don't want so much of it. Moreover, I love my traditional watches too much. I actually used to miss the regular dumb watch when I had this smartwatch on. There is just a certain charm of having a compact little device on your wrist that shows time through the epic synchrony of hundreds of micro parts. It's so cool knowing that this device on your hand uses gears, springs, and rotors to accurately display time without using a single volt of electricity. Now, I know that this may sound overly dramatic, but I feel that mechanical watches have a romantic appeal that a smartwatch will never have. I'm too far down that lane to ditch a regular watch for a smart one, no matter how smart it may be. At most, I'll just double wrist it with both watches. But I'm not giving up my boring old watches anytime soon. That's all from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do hit the like button. It really helps small channels like mine. I'm also trying to reach 3,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so a subscribe to the channel would be immensely helpful. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you again very soon.